The Newsline.
Hello and welcome back to People's TV. In our earlier commentaries, we warned that radical Islamism has silently infiltrated Europe. This was no sudden invasion. It crept in like a cancer beneath the skin, like embers smoldering under coal, hidden within the fabric of society for years. Now it has erupted into the open, unleashing chaos in broad daylight in the wake of the Israel-Hamas war. As this death cult resurfaces, it has become a harsh reality check for those who once dismissed concerns as mere Islamophobia. People are now forced to confront how deeply radical Islam has entrenched itself, scrambling to find solutions before it's too late. Their strategy is simple and deadly: grow under society's skin like a virus, pose as allies of Palestine, and infiltrate nations while quietly dismantling social structures. Take Britain, for example. In today's footage, a pub refused service to a group of customers simply because they carried the British flag. The owner and her staff physically blocked the entrance. When asked why, she gave no answer. One of the men then asked, "Would you let me in if I carried a Palestinian flag?" The war is between Israel and Hamas, but now, even the flag of England is being rejected. Brits are facing discrimination in their own land. Across the Atlantic, the same pattern emerges in America. Censored footage shows pro-Palestinian protesters burning the American flag in broad daylight. Radical Islamists exploit the Israel-Hamas conflict to fuel hatred against Americans and infiltrate American civil society. Their goal is always the same: win over citizens, gain cover under public sympathy, and push their agenda unchecked. The same tactics are visible in Sri Lanka, where radical Islamists manipulate power-hungry political henchmen to further their cause. Germany, once one of Israel's strongest European allies, is now turning its back. The nation that once supported Israel has sanctioned arms restrictions, while the streets fill with anti-Israel activists openly chanting for a Palestinian state. In this footage, German police do act against violent agitators, but the bigger picture is clear: Germany is abandoning Israel, leaving radical Islamists free to tighten their grip on Europe. In Brussels, Belgium, the brutality is undeniable. A Palestinian man attending a pro-Palestinian rally was stabbed by an activist simply for condemning Hamas terrorists. The footage is chilling. The wounded man lies in a pool of blood while onlookers desperately try to stop the bleeding. Imagine, if Hamas can display this level of cruelty in a European city, how much more brutality must they be inflicting in Gaza? In another video, too graphic to include here, Hamas terrorists brutally beat a man with iron and wooden rods for defying their orders, and then execute him coldly with a gun. This is the reality behind the ideology hiding under claims of resistance. These are just a few examples, but this is the reality across Europe. Shockingly, the leaders of European states are calling for these barbarians to have a sovereign state of their own. On the ground, in the majority of nations, the situation is dire. Radical Islamists have reached a point of no return, and the societies around them are paying the price. A handful of countries, however, have refused to let radical Islam cross the line. Russia, China, Japan, and South Korea have maintained strict control, keeping extremist ideology in check. China, in particular, has doubled down, labeling Islam a cancer and shutting down mosques to curb its influence. Even Denmark has acted decisively, reforming laws to fight radical Islamism and banning the burqa, making it clear: if you want to live in Denmark, you must follow Danish rules. These nations show that strong action can prevent society from being undermined. Unfortunately, Sri Lanka has failed to learn from the Easter Sunday bombings. Even after such a devastating attack, the leadership has not taken steps to ban the burqa. Police have repeatedly arrested drug peddlers and terrorists disguised in burqas based on tip-offs, and countless crimes have been committed under its cover. Yet, no action has been taken to outlaw this dangerous outfit, leaving the safety of the majority of Sri Lankan citizens at risk. Decades ago, Muslim women in Sri Lanka did not wear the burqa or cover themselves from head to toe. What we see today is the result of foreign influence, particularly from Arabic and Iranian sources, bringing radical Islamism into the country and reshaping its culture under the guise of religion. Denmark is setting a clear example for Sri Lanka and countries around the world on how to curb radical Islamism. Unfortunately, even America has reached a precarious point, with parts of society and government under pressure they cannot easily reverse. Thankfully, the current president shows some common sense, but powerful figures in government and business continue to challenge the administration's efforts. Once this president's tenure ends, the country's ability to navigate the threat of radical Islamism under new leadership remains uncertain. According to sources, the Trump administration is preparing to sign an executive order targeting those who burned the American flag during protests, a direct warning to radical elements trying to undermine American society. Let us remind you one more time, radical Islamism enters quietly, wearing an innocent mask, only to unleash havoc and destruction once it takes root. They claim to stand in solidarity with Palestine, yet they rise against the very countries that welcomed them and gave them a home. This is happening in the United Kingdom. It's happening in the United States. Even in Sri Lanka, every time there's a cricket match against Pakistan, some Muslim Sri Lankans wave the Pakistani flag. For us, it's just a game, but for them, it's about religion and allegiance. What is unfolding across Europe and the West today could easily happen in Sri Lanka tomorrow. After the Easter bombings, authorities managed to regain some control, and parts of the Muslim community faced rejection, but radical Islamism is once again raising its ugly head in Sri Lanka. In conclusion, we invite you to join us on the 30th at 2 p.m. in front of the United Nations office at Thumula Junction for a peaceful protest in solidarity with Israel. I will be there in person to support this initiative.
Subscribe us for more details.